Countdown to kickoff continuing, and yes, it is finally time. It is finally time to cover my Chicago Bears. Let's head out to Chicago. Dave Kerner, CBS Radio, WBBM. Offensive line, is it the biggest concern for the Bears?
Certainly one of the biggest. People generally think this line is going to be better than a year ago, but you still have a lot of questions. Can Jamarcus Webb make the move from right tackle to left tackle? Can Chris Williams cut it at left guard? Roberto Garza has to be the center because Olin Kreutz, of course, departed after being unable to reach a deal with the Bears. You've got Lance Lewis, an inexperienced right guard, and a rookie, Gabe Karimi, at right tackle, has had a really good camp and holds lots of promise there. So it's a line that could come together. It's going to have to in a hurry given the Bears' early season schedule, and I think the need to show some cohesiveness pretty quick.
Brandon Merriweather gets signed, a two-time Pro Bowler. Major Wright, he missed a ton of tackles, it seemed like, in the preseason. What does this mean for Major Wright?
Major Wright should be looking over his shoulder. Brandon Merriweather does have credentials. I think the Patriots maybe got a little tired with some other issues, which is why Merriweather was out in the street very briefly. But, the Bears have been looking for a while for depth at the safety position. I don't know if the overall scheme is to see if by midseason, for example, Brandon Merriweather can't be a starter at free safety, but I think they're probably looking at that. Major Wright has not had the best of camps. Chris Harris at the strong, getting a little long in the tooth. The Bears, I think their defense is predicated on real depth and real strength at the safety positions. I don't think the Bears have had a real game changer in a safety spot since Mike Brown was around. And I think they're hoping maybe Merriweather can even take care of that aspect of that defense a little bit.
What about Roy Williams? The last time he had a monster year was when Mike Martz was his offensive coordinator in Detroit. Do you foresee a big year for Roy Williams, or only about 60 to 65 catches?
Well, you know what? I think if they got 65 catches out of Roy Williams and, say, 7 touchdowns, that'd be pretty good. The reason Roy Williams is here, I'm pretty sure, is because of Mike Martz. They know that Williams, in what has been a very up-and-down NFL career, thrived the most in that Mike Martz offense. The interesting thing, though, is really through camp, Roy Williams did not show a lot of indications that, A, he was truly enthused about being back in the Martz system and ready to thrive in it. Now, maybe he's going to surprise us all and come out and look like the guy that he was a few years ago with the Lions when Martz was running that offense. That's kind of what the Bears are banking on, to the extent where Roy Williams, I think, would be considered even now the number one receiver, and a guy like a Johnny Knox is kind of wondering where the playing time is going to come from for him.
I wanted to ask you about that. Earl Bennett seems like the new security blanket for Jay Cutler going back to their days in Vandy. Does Johnny Knox fit in at the 3, or is he a number 4 receiver on this team?
Well, right now I think he's kind of the number 4. Devin Hester, and Bennett and Roy Williams would be ahead. But I don't think the Bears would hesitate, if they were not getting the desired production out of Williams, to put Johnny Knox in that role and have him thrive where he has before.
Dave, you've been covering this team for a while, and you've seen a lot of good players, a lot of bad players, a lot of head scratchers. What do you think about Devin Hester, and how far has he come along playing the wide receiver position?
I think Devin Hester has come along quite a bit at the wide receiver position, but I don't think he has necessarily fulfilled the promise that a lot of people believe. The Bears were in a bind. Hester obviously has made his way in the NFL with his ability to return the ball, setting all kinds of records a few years ago. And it was to the point where Hester wanted more money. It's like, okay, we want to pay Devin Hester more, but we can't pay him a lot more money just to be a return man.
Right.
So the idea was to try him at receiver, try to develop his skills that way, and I think he has to an extent. But he still has like the maddening drop here and there. He still runs the route here and there that leaves you scratching your head. And I don't think he's been quite the home run ball number 1 receiver that maybe people would believe. But then again, I still think Hester's strong suit to this day is the return game. It's a shame he doesn't get more of that kind of work.
How will the new kickoff rules affect him then?
It's probably not going to help. If Hester's got to start 5 yards further back returning a ball, it's going to create not only headaches for himself to try to find space, but for blockers ahead of him to create that space. It'd be interesting to see how the Bears handle this. You know, if they've basically told Hester maybe once upon a time anything, say, 2 yards deep in the end zone and further back, don't return it. Maybe now the adage will be if you're 5 yards back or more, don't return it. Otherwise, let's bring it out and see if we can't get the good field position that the Bears have really lived off of offensively over the last couple of years.
It seemed as though Chester Taylor was a Bear, and then it was rumored he got cut, and then he was back, and then he officially got cut. What the hell happened here?
I think what happened was with Chester Taylor, they probably would have wanted to cut him that previous Monday, but I think there were concerns not only about Marion Barber, who has the calf injury, but also Khalil Bell is going to back up Forte for the regular season opener on Sunday, as also carrying an injury. And I think the concern was, you know, if one of these guys is out long-term, we don't want Chester Taylor out there for anybody else. So they kind of strung him along for a couple of days, assessed the health of the other running backs, and decided that he was expendable. So it's a bit of a miscommunication, I think, on the Bears' part.
Brian Urlacher, obviously the face of the franchise. Whenever you talk about the Bears, you need a good middle linebacker. He is that guy. How many good years do you think he has left in him?
Oh, I think Brian Urlacher has maybe about 3 more really good seasons left. And then, you know, there'll be signs maybe that he's not quite as speedy sideline to sideline. The ability to cover zone, which is something he doesn't really like to do, but does very well even to this day. Things like that, when you see those signs leaving him, then you'd know that maybe you're getting a guy on the downside. I don't think Brian Urlacher is to that point yet. I probably am thinking, again, counting this season as well, he's got 3 more good years.
Last question for you, Dave. Over under 8.5 wins for the Bears this year. What do you think?
Oh, good question. I'm going to say under, but you can't underestimate them. They won 11 games and made the NFC title game last year, so they could certainly have the last laugh.